Hello, everyone, and welcome to the October 13th edition of Sports Talk in the Burgh. I'm your host, Kevin Plaucha, and I'm joined tonight by three veteran panelists. First up, we have the only Bills fan that I know that I haven't personally seen jump through a table. It's John Hanna. Next up, we have the self-proclaimed best in the world at fantasy football, Tyler Gallo. And finally, we have the Sherwinator himself, Colby Sherwin. We've got a jam-packed show for you all tonight, so let's get right into it. Our first topic tonight being the Pittsburgh Penguins. So we have hockey back in Pittsburgh, with the Penguins kicking off their season last night against the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they won pretty convincingly too, 6-2. What are your thoughts on the Penguins this season? Colby Sherwin, we're coming to you first.
I'm optimistic, but not cautiously optimistic. They have a lot of injuries right now.
Cautiously optimistic sounds like Penguins fans should be. I mean, 6-2 win, good start.
But the Lightning played worse. It's almost like the Steelers win over the Bills. The play calling was why the Steelers won that one. And this one, the Lightning kind of just played sloppy. A lot of injuries right now.
I was watching that game. There were a couple goals that Vasilevsky should not have let in.
I agree.
32 shots for the Penguins. 6 goals, 6 different guys scored. So I think, good, nice depth scoring, which will be really good when Crosby and Malkin come back. But I do agree that I think, a bit of a
And, a plethora of empty net goals in that game, too. John Cooper pulling the goalie as soon as the third period started, it almost seemed.
Big extension,
look,
John Cooper.
Bottom line, obviously, losing Malkin and Crosby early on is not ideal.
I don't think losing Malkin is that big of a deal, actually. If
Malkin, yes, but Crosby,
Crosby is, but Malkin, to me, kind of is like an anchor almost. You've seen him when he gets frustrated.
You want to trade Malkin first thing last year.
Because if you've seen him, when he gets frustrated, he gets a penalty. The Penguins got to kill penalties. When he's not playing well, the Penguins are actually a lot worse off. It would be better to trade him, honestly, but again, Crosby, Jake Gensel, Mike Matheson, Zach Aston-Reese, they're all out. And one big question for me this season,
all back practicing today.
But the big question for me is this goaltending. Can Jari or DeSmith figure it out? Because we saw against the Islanders, without goaltending, you're screwed.
Sticking with the NHL, we had the regular season kicking off last night. So what are your way too early Stanley Cup championship predictions? John Hanna.
It's obviously Buffalo, Arizona. Case closed, no questions asked.
Yeah, get it out of here.
No, but seriously, I have Boston and Dallas. Dallas, 2 years removed from that Cup run against Tampa. They get back a fully healthy Tyler Seguin. Rope Hintz fully healthy as this year. So I think Dallas is going to be really strong, especially in a weak Central. And then Boston, the Atlanta.
John, do you think Dallas has that second edge that we saw a couple of years ago that they made it to make it all the way this far? I don't think they can get past the Titans of the Western Conference.
What Titans of the West? I mean, you have
the Avalanche are one right there. The
Avalanche. You also picked the two easiest teams to pick.
Because the Avalanche have such a deep roster. The Lightning
they've had a deep roster for the past 3 seasons, and look where it's gotten them.
If you look at it, those two are the only ones that matter. And the Panthers aren't even going to get out of the division. They still got to beat Tampa Bay and Boston, not to forget Montreal and Toronto are all ahead of them.
I'm so afraid of the Leafs in the playoffs, Colby. Ooh, they haven't won in the first round.
Your Stanley Cup prediction is a rookie goaltender.
Panthers are a sneaky good team, a sleeper team. They're not. Maybe in your opinion, they're not going to make it far.
Well, you mentioned your issue with the Penguins. My issue with the Panthers is that goaltending. Bob hasn't been the same.
Yeah, he has been a question mark. That's for sure. I just think
Spencer Knight is your answer. He's a rookie.
You got to think, though, Barkov and Huberdeau had really, really good seasons last year. If they can continue that, and Carter Verhaeghe came almost out of nowhere.
They lost Keith Yandel. Who do they have on defense other than Aaron Ekblad?
All I know is they got Sam Reinhart from the Sabres, and he's pretty good. I think he can fit in pretty well to this team. But, yeah, I don't know about the defense. That is their one issue for me.
Switching gears to the MLB, with all of the division series wrapping up, except for the Giants and Dodgers, who will have their Game 5 finale tomorrow night, what is your World Series champion prediction? Tyler Gallo.
Well, I got to say one or two words, go Sox. And I think, even though they did stumble into the postseason, that's for sure, they found a way to get out of that wild card game against Garrett Cole, who stinks in wild card games.
He does. He does.
They rode Kike Hernandez, they rode Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers against their AL East contemporaries in the Rays. I really think that this team has that second edge to move on to the World Series.
I have the team that Kevin Plaucha said is playing tomorrow night. I have San Francisco, simply because
their cheating lab and wind machines they use to affect the play?
No, that's Houston.
Oh, that is Houston. I mean, that was a couple years ago, but the Giants are the new cheating
But they
lab
have that veteran presence, Buster Posey, excuse me. I had Dustin Pedroia and Buster Posey, even though Pedroia never played for the Giants. But they have
Red Sox, we were just talking about.
Yeah, Buster Posey, second in the majors in the regular season with 3.24 ERA. Kevin Gossman, Logan Webb, Alex Wood, Anthony DeSclafani. I don't know how to pronounce it.
DeSclafani.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Tyler.
And they have a
I'm
very
agreeing with
deep
you.
roster.
That series with Houston is going to be tooth and nail. It's probably going to go 7 games, but I think Boston comes out on top.
I do like Boston. They
Are
have
those trash cans I
a
hear?
great lineup. You see, you were talking about it. The bullpen has a little bit of issues, but I actually think the Astros have a worse bullpen, and I really don't like Dusty Baker as a manager. That's why I think the Red Sox are going to surpass.
To not get it done in the big games.
So we can't have a sports talk episode without talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They may have won on Sunday, but not without some bad juju. That's right, I'm talking about Juju Smith-Schuster, who is out for the rest of the season after injuring his shoulder and having season-ending shoulder surgery. So, other than Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson, who will need to step up for the Steelers in Juju's absence? John Hanna.
Well, first off, that pun was terrible.
Yeah, it was bad.
But I'm going with a non-wide receiver. I'm going Najee. First-round pick. You gotta go. If you have a weak offensive line, which the Steelers do, and Big Ben's not Big Ben anymore, you need that running back to be able to take things off your offensive
John,
line.
how about
They
some
don't
more-
need anybody.
How about
They're
some more
fine the
improvement
way
from-
they are. Juju basically hasn't been producing this year. He only has 129
Colby,
yards and a
Colby,
touchdown.
nonetheless.
They don't need anything.
They don't need. If they're
Have
going
you
to keep
seen
it the same.
Steelers play
that is
football
Ben
this
Roethlisberger.
season?
We're talking about Juju.
How about some more improvement from within, though? If there's any time for a guy to step up right now, it's James Washington and move into that third tertiary wide receiver position. If he can get out there and, I know he's dealing with an injury issue now recently, but I think it's his time. His time to shine is right now.
If they move him to the slot and have Deontay and Chase Claypool outside, I think that's a good move right there. Najee is going to get his touches, but that plays in my point. No one needs to step up. Everybody's here that they need. Just play your game and you will be fine. There's no one who
So
needs to
you
step
almost
up.
would be better off saying maybe just switch things around a little bit, is what you're saying.
I honestly,
Are you
if they're
saying
going to
it's bye-bye
replace,
time
if they're
for
going to
Juju?
replace anybody, it should be Ben. He's been terrible. But we're talking about Juju right now. I don't think anything needs to change. He's just been there.
Sticking with the NFL, with John Gruden recently resigning from the Las Vegas Raiders head coach position, who will the Raiders hire next season as their head coach? Colby Sherwin.
My pick is a guy who's been passed up time and time again. He built this Chiefs offense from within, and I am tired of seeing him get passed up. Eric Bieniemy deserves a shot at this because he's been passed up every single time there's been a coaching vacancy. I think he's been terrific. Since taking over in 2019, the Chiefs have been ranked in the top 5 offenses every year except one.
And Colby, I had him for the previous coaching vacancy we talked about, so I definitely agree with that. My pick, if you can't make it as a player, why not make it as a coach? Kellen Moore has just been orchestrating this 4-1 Cowboys start in the offense, really calling great plays for Dak, and maybe he can do well as the
I'm
next
going
coach.
with a pick that I would hate to see, but Brian Daboll, OC of the Bills. Obviously, he had a couple questionable plays like that 4th down play against the Steelers, but I think he's helped turn Josh Allen into an MVP candidate.
I agree with you, John, in that, and I think he will get a head coaching job.
Derek Carr's teetering on the edge. Is he good? Is he bad?
He curls up like a roly-poly when he gets sacked a bunch, though, that's for sure.
At least it's better than Daniel Jones, who walked off like a roly-poly.
I agree with you on Daboll, but with Kellen Moore, a couple issues I have is clock management. He's not really the best with that.
They're starting to iron that out, though.
They are ironing it out. When the Cowboys have the ball, sometimes they take a little too long with that, and they're not really balanced. I've seen a lot of games where Amari Cooper's just disappeared. They don't use him, or Zeke they don't run it. So that's my issue. Daboll, sometimes Josh Allen can get off course, but that's not really on him.
That's Josh Allen.
I get what you're saying for both of them. I just think Eric Bieniemy deserves a shot.
So with the NFL London series underway once again after a 1-year hiatus and the NFL exploring options of even playing games in Germany, what would be your dream NFL international game destination and why? Tyler Gallo, what do you got?
All right, this is a bit off the board, but think about it. American football takes place in North America, but not South America, so why not try to introduce it to a place like Rio de Janeiro in Brazil?
Well, first off with that, did you see what happened after the 2014 Brazil Olympics? it failed Brazil.
That's for sure. But
all the infrastructure there is completely terrible.
They introduced a sport like baseball to London, which was never seen in the past before.
But that's because London is a good city. England is a prosperous city.
What are you saying about Rio de Janeiro,
I'm saying Rio de Janeiro and Brazil are not good economies. I'm
moving on from Brazil.
To our brothers up north, eh?
If
I'm
it's
going
not
to
there,
Canada.
how about City?
The Bills tried it from 2008 to 2013. It didn't work because it wasn't marketed. The Bills-Toronto series was not marketed. They played up at the Rogers Center. I have a different idea, though, that is not a NFL game. I think an NFL CFL exhibition. Take the winner of the Super Bowl, winner of the Grey Cup, first half NFL rules, second half CFL rules. I think that'd be a fun thing to do, and our comm teacher Anthony Moretti would love that.
That would
I
definitely be
think,
interesting.
for me, I think it'd be awesome to play in Italy if they could build the Coliseum back up to where it would be playable.
But
it's not possible
National Heritage Site,
because
Colby. That is not
it's
possible.
our dream scenario. My dream scenario would be in the Coliseum. It's not possible.
It is.
They'd obviously play it somewhere
No,
else.
it's not possible.
I'm just saying it'd be cool.
We've got a lot of NFL questions on the show today. So, who is your fantasy football player of the week? John Hanna.
My fantasy football player of the week is not a player, but a collection of players. It's the Bills' defense and special teams. They had 17
John,
points against.
is this because you're a Bills fan? Because
No, it's because the Bills'
I don't know
defense
about
was-
this one.
Because
one guy
the Bills'
that is,
defense.
one guy that is prone to torching Bills' defenses in the past is Tom Brady. He had a great week against.
He wasn't even the best quarterback.
Yeah,
So
it was
what? He
Justin
still had a
Herbert
great-
was the best
he had a great
quarterback
week
in this
against
Justin
one.
AFC's
Herbert was
opponent,
1 point away
Dolphins.
from
411
Lamar
yards, 5
Jackson.
touchdowns, pretty solid week.
I mean, it's
42
easy
fantasy
when you
points
have the
on it.
best targets in the NFL with Antonio Brown, Evans, Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Bernard, Brait, O.J. Howard, Gronk. You got all those players. It's great. It's easy to put up
You
numbers.
just named their
Colby,
entire
you just named
offense.
their entire offense.
Yeah, because they're all superstars. Congratulations, you threw to Antonio Brown.
O.J.
You got
Howard is a
fantasy
superstar?
points.
O.J. Howard? No.
No.
He was supposed to be, but he turned into O.J. Howard, so.
So, who is your pro athlete of the week? Colby Sherwin.
I got Chris Taylor hitting a walk-off to send the Dodgers into the NLDS. And now I see Freddie Freeman here. That was in the 8th inning. This one, backs against the wall. The Dodgers
What
need
else
this to
did
move
Chris
on.
Taylor do in the NLDS, though?
I'm going.
Congratulations, he hit a walk-off at
I'm
home
going
run.
with
He
in the
batted
8th.
308. He batted 308 in that series. Josh Hader, he hit that home run off him. He blew 1 save all year and allowed 3 total home runs off the year. And the guy they're calling MV free for a reason. Look, Freddie Freeman had a
That's a
quiet
terrible
series,
nickname.
That's for sure.
It's just
It
like
is,
Kevin
it
Plash's punt
But,
earlier.
you know,
But
and as much
I'm going to the gridiron. Kevin Byard for the Tennessee Titans, 10 tackles, second on the team, 2 pass breakups, a fumble recovery for a touchdown, and an interception in the 4th quarter.
But
to seal
that's in the
game.
regular season. This is the postseason we're talking about in a walk-off. There's nothing better than that in any of these instances. We have an 8th inning home run in regular season play. This is the one that really was the most special.
Man, it's really a shame that Chris Taylor kind of fell asleep in the NLDS, though.
I don't really care. That's what I'm talking about right now.
All right, when we come back, the guys will be giving their ACC championship predictions, as well as some RMU football, right here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
Severe weather can strike anytime, anywhere, but there's a simple way to stay safe. Hey, Jim Cantore here. I stay safe in dangerous weather by planning ahead. You can stay safe too with a few easy steps. Build an inexpensive kit with supplies for your family's needs. Write down important information like phone numbers and medications. Always talk with your family and remember any pets in your planning. Be ready, be safe. Start your plan today at ready.gov/plan.
Volver a vivir esos momentos comienza con protegerlos contra el COVID-19 y sus peligrosas variantes nuevas. Obtén la información más reciente en detidepende.org o consulta con tu pediatra o proveedor de servicios médicos.
Freedom. It's at the core of who we are. The freedom to live without fear, to jog where we please, to wear a hoodie. The freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Hey, boss. Okay.
Said I'm fine.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. Where you at, underlay, in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Bob.
You know you can talk to me.
Yes.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. It's now time to talk about some college football. So with the AAC and Conference USA conferences in talks about reorganizing, and with 3 AAC teams joining the Big 12, Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF, which conference will expand next? John Hanna, what do you think?
Well, I'm looking forward to some action. I think the Mid-American Conference is going to be the next one to expand, and I'm looking specifically at two independent schools right now in UMass and UConn. UMass, formerly in the MAC, left in 2015, and UConn been an independent since 2019, where they left the American. So I think the MAC is going to expand sort of in that, because no school really is up in there except for Boston College.
Right. Well, and you guys are going with FBS. I'm going to go to the FCS and go with the Colonial Athletic Association. This is a school, a conference that's in a prime location for multiple schools. Now you can take like a Duquesne. I thought RMU was initially going to move there when they were moving conferences.
They'd get killed.
They would. That's true. But I think a school like Duquesne, who's not really challenged in the NEC, and then Bucknell, which is pretty.
Here's my thought. I think the Mountain West is prime for this. You have Colorado State, Boise, Fresno, Air Force, Nevada, and Utah State would all make some great Pac-12, I think, Pac-12 would be good for them. I just think those teams would be pretty good to move up.
So you're saying completely get rid of the Mountain West?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they're going to realign, those are the schools I think that would be best fit. Colorado State and Colorado play every year anyway, so that was my view on it.
So moving on, for this next question, I got to come to the Pitt fan first. Colby Sherwin, who will play in the ACC championship game?
You're going to make me sound a little biased here, Kevin, but I chose Pitt and Wake Forest. Wake Forest is undefeated right now. That was my pick.
They barely beat a terrible Syracuse team in overtime.
I'm getting to it. Beal Smith has 375 rushing yards. Hartman has 1,615 passing yards. They're 16th in the country. Kenny Pickett's been better than usual. His pocket presence still needs to get there, but he has 1,731 passing yards. The Pitt's been getting there. I think the whole conference is wide open. You can really put anybody, but I have Wake Forest and Pitt.
Everyone but Syracuse is worthy of this.
4-1 is a lot of fun, and both BC and Virginia Tech are 5-1. I'm going to go with this matchup. Virginia Tech is a team that I think is going to make that jump like you have on
Virginia Tech's 3-2.
Yeah, okay. Well, obviously I messed that one up, but, it's in that scenario, I still think these two teams are the top of the crop.
I'm going with a 4-1 team, like you said, but not BC. I'm going NC State. They did beat Clemson. I know they're not the same Clemson they were last year. They lost Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. However, they're still good, averaging 433.8 yards a game, 32.2 points a game. I think this NC State team is really going to shine for the ACC.
I think the Coastal is going to come down to Pitt and Virginia Tech. That Atlantic is completely wide open, and
all I know is that no ACC team's going to rep.
No, there will be no ACC team in the playoffs.
Moving on to some local college football talk. After RMU defeated Charleston Southern over the weekend, who is your RMU football player of the week? Tyler Gallo.
So I'm going to go with the guy that had his coming out party this week, and I'm going to go with James Westry. 5 receptions for 98 yards and a touchdown. Really impressive. The man they called the Dolphin went out there and had a nice catch for that end zone TD.
Why?
I don't know why they call him the Dolphin.
That's a terrible nickname.
It's a terrible nickname.
It's the worst I've ever heard.
George Martin did find his connection with him in that game, much like he did with Hicks in prior games.
Speaking of George Martin, I thought he played great. 28 for 41, 292 passing yards, 2 touchdowns.
They let him cook.
They did finally let George cook.
I'm going special teams. I know you're going to say, oh, he was 3 for 4, but he hit 3 of the biggest field goals. That's one of the reasons why they won, because you have to win the special teams battle.
Well, you know what they say? They call him Nick Ice Segley. Actually, I just call him that, but it was a good game
Please
for him.
never call him that again.
Outside, that miss wasn't even that bad. He wasn't lined up very good for that kick. It was almost at the sideline where he kicked it from, so I'm not knocking him for that. But I think, James Westry had his, performance that's going to endear him to the fans going forward.
So moving on to this Saturday against North Alabama. John Hanna, what is your RMU football key to victory?
Well, I said it 2 weeks ago. I'll say it again. You have to get Elijah Jackson going. And I said it about Najee as well, because while the Colonials do have a strong offense with James Westry and DeAndre Hicks, George Martin, if Elijah Jackson gets going, I think it's going to be a match made in heaven.
It's sort of been one step forward,
North
2 steps
Alabama
back.
is terrible run defense, allowing 1,336 rushing yards a game, 9 rushing touchdowns. I think if Elijah Jackson gets going for the Colonials, it's going to be a walk in the park against the Lions of North Alabama.
And look, we talked so much about the wide receivers. You got to find the standout wide receiver early. George Martin has found that in their wins this year with Hicks and Westry, and I really think that whether it's DeMonte Martin, whether it's Jack Edekoven, or whether it's Chris Charles, I think you got to find that guy you're going to connect with well early.
I think they just got to find some balance. We've seen a couple games where they go pass heavy and run heavy. Just find that balance, and they should be fine.
So switching gears a little bit, did RMU soccer get cheated today? They had 2 goals that were disallowed, and they ended up losing in overtime to Cleveland State. Tyler Gallo, what do you think?
Hey, John, can I kick it?
No.
Oh, come on. All right. Well,
I'm going to kick you for saying that.
They did. That first goal definitely should have counted, and the possession was not had by the goaltender in both instances. That is just a very unfortunate loss. Yeah, well, we didn't expect this team to do well. They've played well over the past couple weeks.
Considering they only scored 1 goal last year from Miller Mason. You were at that game.
Yeah, complete turnaround, and it's so nice they're not playing in Cannonsburg anymore.
I agree with you, and it kind of does look like they got hosed in that one.
Yeah, it was just tough.
It's just one of those things that, you don't, nope. Who would have thought that, RMU soccer would be the biggest scandal of the week?
Yeah, right. It was just a tough, really tough, sequence of events because they scored early on in overtime. They scored late in the game. That would have, been a very nice momentum win against a good team in Cleveland State because they just beat a great team in UIC, former conference champion.
But guess what? Nope, ref said no. The thing is, the problem is we didn't get the full replay. We couldn't get the full, VAR, so we weren't sure what went through the ref's head. Even Spencer Witt on the call had no clue what was really going on.
Just a tough sequence of events, for sure.
So, moving on. Colby Sherwin, who was your college athlete of the week?
So, mine, Tyler, you were talking about let's kick it. Seth Smith kicked the game winner against Alabama. Oh, excuse me. Come on, Colby. My apologies. Against number 1 Alabama, and the video of his girlfriend going nuts is really why I picked it because that's just so heartwarming to see the whole experience.
It's a good feel-good story, and especially an unranked team going in and just kicking the teeth. I mean, I guess not kicking the teeth out because it was only a field goal win, but the number 1 team in the nation. I mean, it's just such a great story. But I'm going to college hockey. I'm going with Owen Power.
Never go wrong with Mr. Power, that's for sure. John.
Great name, first overall pick by the Sabres, 5 points in 2 games against Lake Superior State. I think it's going to make a great future going forward.
We have a blast from the past. I'm going with the guy you picked a couple weeks ago, Brennan Armstrong. He had another good game this week. He passed for 480 yards and 3 touchdowns in UVA's close win against Louisville. Now, yeah, it was a pretty close win, and he threw a couple of picks, but still, 480 yards is nothing to sneeze at, and he's already been on this show before.
All right, when we come back, the guys will give their final takes right here on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles, watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
To
get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
And discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Yeah, Sam, Elmo.
Oh, hey, Julia. You ready to play band with us? I'm going to play my clarinet.
And Elmo's going to play his drum. Drum loud.
Oh, well, you know what to do, Julia.
Julia knows.
Mm-hmm. With Julia's autism, loud sounds can be too much.
But she still loves to make music. Play band.
Early screening for autism can make a lifetime of difference. Find out more at screenforautism.org.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Can I get the now bar, please?
$1.
Have a good one.
Got it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey.
Let me get a now bar.
Sure. $1.
Appreciate you.
Got it.
Welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. It's now time for the guys to give their final takes. Colby Sherwin, you're up first.
After Juju Smith-Schuster got injured and the news broke that he was done for the year, his short few years in Pittsburgh was tremendous with some tremendous highs and tremendous lows. With a 98-yard touchdown versus the Lions on Sunday Night Football in his rookie year to an amazing catch in the end zone versus the Raiders. But last year wasn't his best, not really being a contributor in the TikTok dances. He came back this year for one last ride. This season feels like the last time he would be in black and gold. And if this is the last time we see Juju, all I have to say was it was quite a ride. to his bike being stolen and knocking Vontaze Burfict into next week to getting blown up by Von Pell. If this is, I enjoyed most of it. Not all of it. The Corvette may have ran out of gas, but Juju was always interesting to watch. Thank you, Juju.
Hey, Rob Manfred, you want to appeal to younger fans and get more people to games? How about you bring your marketable stars to every single market? Then so how about we take the New York Mets and the Los Angeles Angels, for example, the Angels, who feature Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. The Mets will play the Angels for the first time since 2017 next season, but it will take place in Anaheim. The Angels haven't been to Citi Field since 2017, before Ohtani made his debut, and before that, 2011, before Mike Trout made his debut. See a problem here? After this season, the Mets won't play the Angels again until 2025, and by that time, who knows if Ohtani and Trout will still be around to come to Queens. This goes for every possible interleague matchup out there. I mean, this season, the Seattle Mariners are coming to Citi Field, and Queens for that matter, for the first time since 2008, never playing at Citi Field in its 12 seasons. Bottom line, take notes from the NHL where they have every team play each other at least once, and it can even be one series every year that alternates home field. I'm sure fans would love to see stars at their stadium more often.
Well, last night, satellites in Bristol, Connecticut were broadcasting something they weren't used to, as NHL hockey was back on ESPN for the first time since May 27, 2004. And while there were a few rough spots during the broadcast, such as the score bug not having shot totals, overall, ESPN has already gone above and beyond what NBC did with their NHL coverage by actually promoting the sport. Future Hall of Famer Sidney Crosby was scheduled for an interview during halftime on Monday Night Football. Then the John Gruden news broke, which understandably pushed back the Crosby story. And before puck drop of the Pens Lightning game, ESPN featured a great tribute to one of the greatest sports themes in history, the NHL on ESPN theme, which was narrated by Justin Bieber of all people. Also, Mark Messier and Chris Chelios are both loads better than Mike Milbury could have ever been. So ESPN, keep it up. I'm looking forward to what you have in the future.
John Hanna, you know I was blasting the NHL on ESPN.
I was too.
All night last night.
It is amazing.
It was an incredible product from top to bottom. And yeah, like you said, there were some hiccups, like the sideline reporter saying a player was pissed off, which you can't really say on air. But it was true.
Hey, guess what you just said on air?
That's what I did. But, you know, I'm going to...
Also, Tyler, you said marketable stars and then brought up the New York Mets.
Well, I was talking more about Ohtani and
Francisco
Trout.
Lindor, he's marketable. Francisco Lindor is a little marketable.
You're right, you should have brought up Pittsburgh.
But do you guys agree with the fact that, you know, I don't even think the Angels are going to come here until like 2027.
Which is,
I can't remember the last time the Angels
came to
Pittsburgh.
It's just absurd that...
And you think every other sport has that. I mean, NHL, like you mentioned. NFL, they rotate leagues
It's every 4 years.
Every 4 years, but home and home. So
yeah.
If, you know, Bills played Steelers... or no, that wouldn't have worked.
So like the
NFC.
Giants and the Steelers, the last time the Giants were here was like 2017, and then
and
last
then
year they were in New York.
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, you can take away all those divisional games, 19 division games during a season, cut that down to like maybe 12. And
MLB needs to just be completely.
That's how they appeal to younger.
And you know how they also can appeal to younger fans? Make the players fun.
Yeah.
So many times in sports, you see all these no fun leagues, like the taunting penalties that was mentioned.
What happened to let the kids play? I remember them marketing this a couple years ago, and now it's just not a thing anymore.
It's just disappointing that Ohtani's probably not even going to get the chance to play against the Mets in his career before he leaves the Angels in a few years, because God knows how long they're going to keep him around. But
too long.
It's tough that teams like that, because back-to-back seasons against the AL East. I'm tired of seeing the AL East teams play against the Mets. Let's be real. But if you can bounce these teams back and forth, just one home series the one year and one the next year, it's that simple.
Yeah, I think Colby Juju. I don't know if he's gone. You're acting like he's dead.
Yeah, I'm not acting like he's dead.
I recall you saying off air that you are not a very big fan of Juju.
I never said I wasn't a big fan of Juju. What I'm saying is he has a 1-year deal. Most likely
they're
not going to give him.
You did.
No, hold on. They're not going to give him the money that he wants. I don't think they're going to pay him what he wants. That's why he's going to.
How much does he want?
How much does he want?
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not Juju.
How much does he want?
I'm pretty sure you psychoanalyzed every single one of his TikToks last year.
Yes, I went through all of his TikToks, every single dance, looked at all the comments, and thought, wow, this is terrible. That is literally what I did.
You know how else you could have shown that you didn't care? By not caring and not watching it.
Man, I wish we had licensing to the NHL and ESPN theme to play us out. To play us out, what does that mean? But I really think that it's a good product. If they continue to hammer home the notoriety that ESPN brings, I think it would be so good.
Yeah. Well, for Kevin Plaucha, Colby Sherwin, Tyler Gallo, I'm John Hanna. This has been Sports Talk in the Burgh, and we will see you not in 1, but in 2 weeks. Stay tuned.